Hey friends, back today for my first recorded episode, but I'm gonna try this in terms of video format. But today I've had some thoughts. Yesterday I had a really good conversation with a friend from Colombia, and her and I talked for probably a good 2 hours, and the conversation sparked a lot of different thoughts. And a big one that came up was materialism. And materialism for me is something that I have probably an odd history with. When I was younger, even coming into college and through high school, I did have this larger want, which I perceived as a need for new things and to have all this new stuff and to be able to have more and more and more. And as I've grown, seen new things, learned about new things, met people from so many different parts of the world, I've really grown to see materialism in a different way, in terms of really understanding that we don't need all the stuff that we have, and we really only need much less. And to go overall, really, the money that we invest into things that we don't need but just want, that don't really serve us that well, could easily go into so many other things, and it could be used so much better. For me, when I think about these things, there's so many different routes for materialism. When I think about all the clothes that someone has to buy, or this brand new really nice luxury car that someone has to buy, I think about why that person's doing it, number one, and number two, all the different things that they could have spent that money on. And for me, I really struggle with that, because let's say, for example, someone buys a $50,000 car, and it's not for any commercial purpose, it's not for them to be able to make more money, it's not an investment. It's, I want to have this nice car because I want to feel good about myself, or I want to say that I have this nice car, etc. Or I like nice cars. Let's say that's the example. For me, when I think about that stuff, great, cool, you bought this car, you have this money to do so. However, what always comes up for me is whether or not that money could be spent better elsewhere. And the answer always is yes. Think about $50,000. You could invest into a kid who maybe is struggling to make ends meet. Their financial aid isn't cutting it for them. And they could completely change the trajectory of the life of their family and beyond if you donated $10,000 to them over 4 years to pay their tuition. And you have 10 grand left over to buy a car. When I think through that example, and that's just one example, when I think through that, it really hits me hard. Because I just weigh two things, right? I weigh your short-term wants and what you feel is important to you and what's going to make you happy in the short term. That's one. And then change the life of another human being, all of the generations to come after them, and give to the point where you see dividends every day and beyond in the happiness of that person, the success of that person, and the gratitude that that person will show you. That's just one example, but I think that that's a powerful example. You can invest into people, and you can invest into different efforts. Like, for me, for example, if I make lots of money in the future, I want my word now to say that if I make this money and if I am very successful, I'm not going to put it back into me in terms of material goods. I will spend that money on travel, learning about others, investing into others, and investing into things that are going to allow me to grow as a person, and that are going to allow others to grow as people, and allow us to grow as a human race. These are the things that I want to invest my money into. I don't want a 4-bedroom house. I don't need a 4-bedroom house. I need the food that I have on my table. I need a roof over my head. I need to make sure that when I go home, I'm not dying from being too hot or too cold. And I need to, make sure I have a space comfortable enough for me to live and work. Period. And I'm not going to draw lines which go beyond what most other people would believe that they need or is okay. And when I think through these things, I really get to the point of even each week, you spend potentially you spend $150 a week on food. Think about that, $150 a week for your own food. Imagine that. Because you go to the grocery store and you also go out to eat a lot. Imagine instead of that, you decided to spend, say, $40 a week on food only. $40 a week on food. You're cutting down $110 from that extra food, which you don't need, which you could get in terms of nourishment for a lot less money. So let's take that $110. And you get that every single week. There's 52 weeks in a year. And you can do that math, 110 times 52. It's a lot. And then multiply that over years, right? So you're in the tens of thousands of dollars through multiple years. And imagine what you could do with that money and what you could invest into with that money. You could invest into hundreds of poor families to help them make ends meet each month. You could take that money and invest it into traveling so you can grow your emotional intelligence, empathy, understanding of what's happening in the world. You can invest in new experiences and learning that can help you grow and be better prepared to serve yourself and others throughout the rest of your life. You can find more meaning in your life by investing into different things. So just think about that. Think about these things. Think about the money you spend on clothes. Think about the money that you spend on food. Think about the money you spend on all of the luxury things that you have. Think about it. Think about all of that. And think about where that money could go, which would make you feel like your life is a lot more meaningful. That's what I want you to think about. How can I invest my money instead of spend it? How can I invest what I have? How can I not be a materialist, but instead be someone who others look up to, someone who people see as someone who sets an example for others because they invest into them, they invest in themselves in the right ways. I hope this resonates. I hope that you like this sort of format, and I really hope that you can take a proper step back to really think about materialism and what that means and how much it affects your life. And in part, I'm making this episode because I want my word to be attached to this. I want people to hold me accountable in the future and even in the present. I want people to be able to hold me accountable in terms of my word and my commitments to not being a materialistic individual. I want people to hear this, see this, and understand how important this is to me. Because we can really help so many more people if we decided to spend less money each week on the tons of extra food that we eat, which probably is killing us. We don't need to spend so much more money on a super nice car when in reality we could change the lives of tens, hundreds, even thousands. It's really powerful, and we need to take a step back also to consider why we're all doing this. Why are we doing each thing that we are doing? And how is this contributing to us as people? How's it contributing to, first and foremost, our happiness? How meaningful we see life, how meaningful we see our lives. So I hope that can sit with you. I hope you can really think through it, take a step back and reflect. And I hope you enjoy that process. As difficult as it may be, as enriching as it may be, I hope that it's something that can lead to positive change for you, or continuing the positive behaviors that you're already doing. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your ear, and as always, much love. Cheers.